Do you or a loved one suffer from high blood pressure or hypertension? Dealing with high blood pressure can be tricky, but the most commonly asked question or problem is, what should your diet look like to lower your blood pressure? So, here are the top 10 foods to avoid if you have high blood pressure. You will learn more about the foods that cause high blood pressure and how they do. After this video, if you are interested, learn the secret to how to eliminate your high blood pressure in less than 9 minutes for good, by clicking the link in the description below. It's truly life-changing. Before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below saying, "I subscribed." It helps us be able to give you more life-improving information and helps us reach more people that need this information. So that would be greatly appreciated. The 10th food to avoid if you have high blood pressure is foods high in fat. Although foods that are high in fat don't raise your blood pressure directly, these foods do cause other problems, like boosting your risk for type 2 diabetes and high cholesterol. With a mixture of hypertension, high cholesterol, and diabetes, you can drastically increase the risk of heart issues. The best solution to fix this is trying to eliminate your high blood pressure in general, which you can do by clicking the link in the description below. It can be truly helpful. The 9th food to avoid if you have high blood pressure is pickled foods. Like cured meats, pickled foods carry lots of salt. Pickling a food is a procedure used to kill off bad bacteria in foods, add other flavoring elements, and lastly, preserve the food. In order for this to be accomplished, though, the food has to sit in a solution of salt, absorbing it all in. Due to this, the pickled foods are extremely high in salt. If you struggle with high blood pressure or hypertension, simply avoid eating picked foods, or if you can't do without picked foods, at the bare minimum, rinse the foods off before you eat them to try to get rid of some of the salt on the surface. The 8th food to avoid if you have high blood pressure is canned foods. Yes, canned foods including canned vegetables, fruits, soups, and anything you get out of a can, like pickled foods and tuna, are prepared using an abundance of salt for taste and preservation. Simply put, it is highly recommended to avoid these products at all costs if you have high blood pressure, and instead, eat raw fresh fruits and vegetables, soups low in salt, or fresh fish with no preservatives added. Making these minor changes to your diet can play a big role in your overall health and blood pressure. The 7th foods to avoid if you have high blood pressure are sauces and condiments. Liquid salts like soy sauce, barbecue sauce, ketchup, steak sauce, and even salad dressing are probably some of the best tasting, yet worst for your health condiments in the world. They are not a viable substitute or replacement for salt. Instead, the primary ingredient in each is salt. Unfortunately, this is not a rarity, as many other ingredients and sauces include lots of hidden salt as well, like gravy, red Italian sauces, and so is white Italian sauces. The 6th food to avoid if you have high blood pressure is cured meats. Similar to the processes above, the same is done to meats like bacon, ham, and other deli meats, where they are sat and soaked in salt water and other ingredients for taste enhancement and preservation. Unfortunately, this is a trap. Because these cured meats can usually taste very good, they are very high in salts, and very counterintuitive for high blood pressure or hypertension victims, and should be avoided at all costs. Unfortunately, this still applies during the holidays, when making a sandwich, and also when you go out to eat. Sandwiches specifically are very high in salt, due to the bread, the condiments, the cheese, and the meat all have lots of salt. Although they can be tempting, one sandwich could easily carry over 2,000 milligrams of salt. Sandwiches are really high in salt because bread, cheese, condiments, and deli meat all have salt. It is quite easy for one sub or sandwich to have over 2,000 milligrams of salt. If you struggle with high blood pressure or hypertension, and just can't put down the sandwiches, then consider the quick and easy solution to getting rid of your high blood pressure in general. Learn more about this with the link below. The 5th food to avoid if you have high blood pressure is processed foods. Just like pickled food, cured meats, sauces, sandwiches, and canned foods, many processed foods include an abundance of salt. These processed foods include frozen pizza, frozen dinners, and other frozen products. The best thing you could do, if you struggle with high blood pressure, is to completely avoid these frozen foods, and seek out more freshly prepared foods. And if there is absolutely no choice whatsoever, then try to purchase the low salt and low sodium variations of these frozen foods. A few brands take people with high blood pressure or hypertension, and heart disease into consideration, and create products specifically for them. These specially made products can be seen with an AHA logo, and a label that states that there was very little salt added to the dish. The fourth food to avoid if you have high blood pressure is unhealthy snacks. Everyone can relate to eating a few of those tasty snacks throughout the day. But, if you look into them a little further, snacks like cookies, chips, jerky, nuts, and crackers all are full of salt. This in combination with sugar and fat, is what makes these snacks so addictive and can cause so many problems. Once again, if you have high blood pressure or hypertension, then these should be avoided, but if you just cannot resist, try to get plain variations with no salt added at all. This allows you the freedom to adding your own spices and seasonings and takes salt out of the equation. Before we move to the top 3 foods to avoid if you have high blood pressure, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell, so you can be notified of more helpful content that will help you live a healthier and happier life. Also, if you or a loved one struggles with high blood pressure or hypertension, there are 3 quick and easy exercises that you can do that will drop your high blood pressure below 120/80ths as soon as today. Be sure to check out the first link in the description to learn these life-changing exercises. Now, let's continue. The third food to avoid if you have high blood pressure is table salt. If you couldn't tell already, salt is the absolute worst ingredient for anyone who deals with high blood pressure, and it is absolutely important that you don't consume too much of it. While avoid table salt may seem simple, in reality, salt is pretty difficult to avoid as it is in almost everything. The CDC has discovered that Americans consume more than 3,400 milligrams of salt on a daily basis on average. This is high above the medical recommendation of a maximum of 2,300 milligrams of salt per day. The American Heart Association (AHA) suggests that people with high blood pressure or hypertension to reduce their salt intake to less than 1,500 milligrams per day to help lower your blood pressure by 5 millimeters of mercury. This basically is equal to less than half of a teaspoon. The second food to avoid if you have high blood pressure is alcohol. An alcoholic drink can slightly raise your blood pressure, but drinking too much can drastically increase your blood pressure. If you are someone that drinks alcohol on a repetitive basis, then reducing your intake of alcohol can lower your blood pressure by 4 millimeters of mercury. The AHA suggests for men not to drink more than 1 to 2 drinks per day, and for women to drink no more than 1 drink per day. 1 drink is in 12 ounces beer, 4 ounces of wine, 1.5 ounces of 80 proof spirits, or 1 ounce of 100 proof spirits. Lastly, the first food to avoid if you have high blood pressure is caffeine. Whether it be in energy drinks, tea, and the infamous coffee, these are all drinks that have caffeine in them and that will cause your blood pressure to increase. For people that have normal blood pressure, caffeine isn't much of an issue like it is for someone with high blood pressure or hypertension. It is recommended that you dramatically reduce your caffeine consumption, and choose only decaf or half CAF coffee, and drink caffeine-free teas also. As you may see, there are lots of foods and drinks that increase your blood pressure, mostly through hidden salt. In today's time, it's very easy to consume a lot of salt without knowing that is what you are doing. If you have high blood pressure, it is a good practice to check nutrition labels every chance you get. Limiting your consumption of salt with a daily limit of 1,500 milligrams max, through alcohol, caffeine, pickled and processed foods, and fats are really important if you have high blood pressure or hypertension. If this is truly a challenge for you, then click the link in the description below to learn how you can normalize your high blood pressure today. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below saying, "I subscribed." See you soon.